Today, we are going to be doing this awesome overlay / navigation using GSAP and all this other cool stuff. Look at that, so smooth. Gary Simon here. So yes, we're going to be creating exactly what you saw there from scratch in front-end dev. So no design, the design is already completed in Figma. I'll try to link it here in case you want to follow along exactly, which I suggest to do if you really want to maximize your ability to learn. All right, so I'm not gonna talk anymore. Let us get started, but first, make sure to subscribe. Now, wait 1 second. The sponsor of this video is Hostinger.com, and I'm actually going to show you how to launch extremely quickly the project that we're about to create, and I'll show you at the end of the video how to do that. Now, Hostinger offers many services from emails, domains, and most certainly hosting. Just look at all of the hosting options they offer here. And they also offer amazing support, really fast servers, and they're priced awesomely. I use them, and I also recommend you use them as well. So I'll be using the shared web hosting option later on after we're finished with the project. Single shared hosting. This is all we would need to get up and running. 48 months you can actually order for only $66. Of course, you can pay per month if you wish as well. And make sure when you click on the top link of the YouTube description here in this video, that when you get to this page, it says coupon code DesignCourse so that you get your 10% off. All right, so here is the design in Figma. I'm just gonna start off with a half-finished landing page. As you can see, it just has a headline. Normally you'd have other things here, but this isn't really the purpose. The purpose is the overlay. And we're gonna say it's gonna be a button kind of like this that you click on, and then it will open this up on top of that. So let me just show the real quick prototype. Will get us pretty close to the animation that will occur, but not exactly. So if I click become a member, it's gonna animate this in some interesting, much more interesting way. Ooh, I duplicated that Facebook icon. That's not supposed to be there. But either way, you get the idea. Have some like little soft shadows here. Yeah, and we'll create all this with HTML and CSS, and then at the end, get it all working. All right, so let's close that up. We'll be referring back to this when we do the HTML and the CSS. So let's go ahead and get started here. In Visual Studio Code, I have a blank folder open, so we're gonna create an index.html. I'll make this a little bit bigger here so you can see it. Exclamation point enter, which is an abbreviation for getting you started with HTML. We'll do link CSS main.css, save that, create a new folder called CSS, and we'll call that main.scss. We'll use Sass for this, just primarily for nesting and stuff like that. Activating extensions. I'm using the watch Sass here. It's a Sass compiler, and right click the index.html, open with live server, which is also an extension. You can install both of those there in this section, and you can see live Sass compiler and live server. And by the way, if you're interested in my theme, it's one I created for a tutorial a few weeks ago on this channel called DesignCourse. So yeah, let's get ready to rock. All right, so the first thing we will do, and by the way, that will open up a browser window. It's blank, as you can see. The first thing we'll do is get started with our HTML and get all the markup ready to rock. So, by the way, I'm not going to be making this responsive for mobile. I just wanted to show the full screen desktop experience, but you can definitely use your media queries. Preferably when you're working in front end, you would go mobile first. So you rate all your CSS rule sets so that you have the browser kind of in like this so that it looks good on mobile first, and then you can use media queries to adjust the design to progressively enhance it. But we're just going to be starting with desktop because that's all I'm going to do. In fact, I think it'd be a good exercise for some of you to see if you can take this design as well as this one and figure out how you would make it work in a mobile experience. If you could do that, go ahead and tweet and mention me on Twitter. DesignCourse.com is the username. Okay, so let's stop talking. Let's get up our HTML. So the first thing, this background, we are going to just place that on the body element itself. So that's already taken care of. We already have the body element in HTML. So the next thing to worry about is this navigation. So we'll wrap this in a header element. This will be a link, just a logo, like an A element, and this will be in a nav element as an unordered list, these 4 items right here. So let's get that going right here in this section. So let's go back here, and I'm going to specify that header, and we're going to have a logo. So a class logo. It's not going to go anywhere just yet, and we'll have this be, I don't know, awesome service. Wait, I can't even spell. Awesome service. Geez, talk about a brain fart. Now we're going to have a nav element, which will be wrapping around an unordered list. Oops, list item rather. And we're going to have a link here going nowhere, and this will be home. Shift Alt down arrow key 4 times to replicate that line. Services, FAQ for frequently asked questions, and then also become a member. And we'll give the list item a class of active, I guess you could say. And that's it for our navigation. And then just beneath, I'm going to have a section element wrapping around the H1 element, go big or go home. That's it. That's all the HTML. Wait, no, it's not. What am I talking about? That's all the HTML markup that we would need for just this right here. All right. Now we need the HTML markup for this entire section, which is obviously a little bit more involved. So when you're trying to figure out how to structure your layouts with HTML, just think of everything as blocks. And for me, I essentially see 3 columns here. I see a column right here. Let me get rid of the fill. We'll add a stroke. You don't have to do this part. Yeah, so I see a column right here. I also see a column right here. And then also this column, if I can move this over, right there, that purple column. So we have 3 columns, all right? And so I'm going to choose to use the grid to structure those columns. So we're going to have a parent, think of this as another just overall container that wraps around this entire thing. So we'll have an HTML element, and then inside we're going to have 3 other HTML elements, like div elements, that will be the structure of these 3 columns. All right, so that's the main structure of this layout. Then of course inside each of those we have certain things. We have a list here in the second column. In the right column we just have an SVG close graphic. So let us go back and let's do that markup. So we'll wrap this stuff in a class called overlay, and that's going to be the grid container for the 3 child elements inside of there. So the first one, we'll just call it left, and we'll put the markup in here afterwards. The next one we'll call middle, which is really for that little navigation, and then we'll have another one called right. All right, so now inside of left goes all of this content right here, here. So this is easy. This would be like H2 because we're already using H1. This is going to be like a paragraph with a class that will allow us to control it. And then this right here, you can see we have 2 elements that are essentially in 2 columns. So we're going to have a div parent that will wrap around those 2 elements. And we could just quickly put display flex on those, and it just automatically will set them right beside each other. And then we'll put like 2 M units between in the gap property. And yeah, so that's the plan going here. So what we'll do is we're going to put in the H2. It's so easy. We're going to put in the paragraph, which is you've got 2 options. Then we have that overall, we have that overall, stop that, parent container. We'll just call it cards. And then singular, we'll just have a card inside of it. And then we're going to have a strong element, subscribe for $9 per month, along with the paragraph. And we'll just say this is the most popular. Actually, I don't want to sit here typing all this out. Popular space option. There we go. And then underneath that, we're going to put a link for the call to action. So the class will be class CTA. And inside of here, we will have subscribe now. And then we'll copy this for a second, just this element for the second card. And this one, it's just going to say pay $99 once. And this button right here will be, let's see here, it says pay once. And then also we'll put a secondary class called pay once because these two buttons are styled differently, as we can see here. Notice it has a light inverted color. And that's because in terms of UI design, when you have two calls to actions that are close to each other, you want to emphasize one over the other. All right, and you do that through styling in your UI design fundamentals. Let me get rid of that. There we go. All right, so that's all the HTML for this section. Now we have to worry about this one. All right, so after the or inside of the middle element, we're going to put in a UL class of secondary, as in a secondary unordered list. And it's going to have the same list items here. Let's see here. This will be home, services, fac, and actually we're going to do a couple of these. Actually, no, just 4 of them. We'll do a contact here. So because we have more space, we can add extra links or whatever. And then we'll have outside of that unordered list, we're going to have a parent element just for the social navigation links right here and here. Display flex those. Same situation as with the cards. So we'll put in social nav. Inside of here, we're going to have an A class of Twitter, href going nowhere. And then I'm going to copy and paste the SVG code in here. So what you do in Figma, if you're using Figma, right click. Or one thing to be aware about, like notice how these are from 2 different icon libraries. Notice how I click this one, it's right onto the edges, but this one has like some white space. If you double click into it, that's the one that you want. Right click, copy and paste, copy as SVG. Same, so you want to do that with both of them. So for this one, I'm just gonna paste that in. And do we need to give it a class? No, we don't, because we're already referencing it here in a parent element. And then we're going to have an A class of Facebook and do the same thing. So I already have that SVG element in a reference code. So same thing, you just go back to Figma and right click it. And we save that. All right, and then finally, we have this final column to worry about. Right here, and it's the same thing. Just double click, right click, copy that SVG. And so inside of right, we're just gonna paste that SVG that we just copied and give it a class of exit. And there we go. So this is what the very ugly result looks like. 1 second here. Yeah, let me close that out. There we go. This is what it looks like. Don't you just love CSS? Otherwise, we'd have to use interfaces like this all the time. Okay, so now let's switch to CSS time. All right, so one of the things I'd like to do for a rule set just to get up and running is to add this. So it's basically selecting every element and just adding box sizing, border box. That prevents overflow issues when it comes to width and padding and margin. Next up, we're going to take our body. Height, we're going to set to 100 viewport height. And that just makes it 100 viewport height, and that'll make it so that when we put in our image and our background, and also rather the overlay, we'll be able to extend it to the very height of the browser, the viewport. And now we're going to have our background. So we're going to get the color. If we go back to Figma, if we select this background, you'll see over here in the inspector. Unfortunately, I can't make this larger, but right over here, we can see we have a color that's a background. And you want to take that code and put that as a part of the initial, the actual background color, even though we're going to be having an image. And you might be wondering why that is, but that's basically because if it's slow to load or there's an issue with the server, at least it will have this background color and it will still work. So what we want to do is, this image, by the way, is from Unsplash. It's actually, if I put this up to 100%, that's what it looks like. But within Figma, what we can do is we can take this and we can right click copy as PNG. Now when you copy as PNG, the result might be very large in a high file size. So you can open something up like Photoshop or any other sort of graphics program editor, and as soon as it loads, my computer needs a refresh big time. I have to tell you, it just loaded up on my other monitor. 1 second. We're gonna create new document, and we're gonna hit Control V to paste that in. Oh, didn't want that. So make sure when you do that, you double click into this to make sure it only selects the actual image itself for that layer right here. So now we right click, copy as PNG. So before I think it was selected on the canvas, which selected everything. That's why it outputted that. So if we go back to here, we paste, there we go, that's what we want. So if we were to go to save for web, file, save for web, or just Control Shift Alt S, we could see this is if we change to, well, if we leave it at JPEG, we could see it's 176 kilobytes, which is quite large. And we also don't need it to be almost 3,000 pixels. You can get away with something like 1,200 pixels, and the file size will come down drastically, like to 45 KB. So save it as a JPEG. Quality 66 is pretty good, right? Especially because it's like a watermark image. It doesn't have to be high fidelity. So save that in your assets folder in the images folder. So I'm going to, I already have that image. We didn't create that folder yet. So we create assets, and then inside of there, images, and then you want to put that file inside of there. So I'm going to reveal something in File Explorer real quickly and just copy that JPG. Open that up. Go to images and just paste bg.jpg. So now finally we can specify URL. We're going to get out of our current folder in CSS and into assets, images, bg.jpg. Also, background size, we'll do cover, and we're going to do a color white for the fonts. Font family will be Poppins. I've been loving using Poppins for quite a while now. Because this is going to be live, we're going to go to fonts.google. We're going to search for a font called Poppins. Click it. We'll do a 300 right here and also a 700. Select that. I will use link, so we'll put this in the HTML. All right, we'll put it above. There we go. All right, so that's there. And then also margin 0 to get rid of default margin and padding on the browser. So let's see what this looks like now. Go to our document, and there we go. Okay, so let us continue. We're going to take all of our unordered lists, because we have 2 of them, and we're just going to get rid of the little circles that show up. Wait, did I just put URL? No, UL. There we go. We're going to put list style type, none. Also get rid of default margin and padding. All right, so that's what this does real quick. So it changes, gets rid of those little circles. We're also going to take, let's see, our section and header. So what is section and header? We can see it's right here. This is all of header, and then this is section. And what we're doing now is just styling that area. In fact, let us go ahead and put an overlay, display none. Because the overlay is like what happens after a person clicks. So we don't want to see that stuff because they're trying to style the other stuff for now. So these are our elements right here. So section and which one is it? Yeah, section and header are just the 2 parent containers, and we want to get this centered up at a fixed width, or not a fixed width, or a fluid width or something. So we'll do a width of 70%, and margin 0 auto is just a very quick way of just centering a div like this. So now we have this white space on the left, and it will be on the right. So now let's focus on the logo, all right? So, or the header section. The overall parent container is header, all right? And we have 2 elements inside of it, the logo and the nav. So if we want to put them in 2 columns, which we do because they're right next to each other, we put in a display flex. So header display flex, and we'll see what that does right away. And it looks kind of strange, but there's awesome here, and then the next column is this one right here. So it's working as expected. We're going to put justify content space between, and that will push it, let's close that out, all the way over here. All right, and then we're going to align the items center, which is aligning it vertically in the middle. All right, so now you can see this got pushed down right here. So now we need to do a couple other things. So we're going to take all the links, we're going to make color white, text decoration none, and also we'll do a padding of 2 em units to give it white space from each other. Now we don't see that yet because we're going to make a quick adjustment. We're going to take, if we look in here, our nav unordered list is the parent container of all of these little links. So, or the list items rather. So what we'll do is just put nav ul display flex. Now they should fall all in columns next to each other. And because we had that padding, now they have good white space. All right. We're also going to take our logo specifically, which has a class of logo. And we're going to put inside of that, font weight will be bold. Make it slightly larger, so 1.25 rem units, and a padding of 0. All right, great. So that's what we have so far. Then what we're gonna do is I want to make sure that I have things working correctly here. Oh, we're gonna take our active element, this one, it's an active class, and we're gonna make it big and bold. So inside of nav ul, we're going to reference li active a, and then we're going to say font weight will be bold, background will be white, color will be black, and margin left will be 2 em units to get it away a little bit from the other links. So this is what we have so far. And then we're going to take our links specifically, all of them, all 4 of them, and we're going to say, we'll just put this right here, padding on the top and bottom will be 2.5 em units, and then 1.5 on the right and left. Oh yes, because we need to put in display block. Forgot about that. So when you're trying to add like margin and padding or whatever on a link, just display block on the A element. All right, so now something about this that I don't like on here. It looks like there's not enough. Let's see here. Let us see. Let's put just 2.5 here. I know that's a little redundant based on what we currently have. What are you doing wrong? Yeah. So let us put that back to 1.5, and then on our link itself, let's put padding 2.5, but also just all around. Let's see if that fixes the issue. There we go. Now we have more white space on the right and left. Okay, so it's like a big old, pretty large button right here. Okay, so now let's continue on. Let's go here, go big or go home. So we'll take our H1, which is what this is, and we're going to say font size is going to be large, 5 rem units, a width of about 40%, a line height of 5 rem units, margin left will be 2 em units, and then margin top will be 3.5 em units. So now, just right around here, something quite large. Okay, so now we're done with this actual section. Now we have to work on the overlay. So we're gonna go back to our overlay where we put display none, and let's just bring this down here, and let's just put a comment here, overlay. I hate how it does that. And then get rid of display none. And of course, if we save, this is what we get down here. All right, so for these types of navigations, you just want to put a position fixed on it. It's like position absolute because it breaks out of the side. It breaks out of the conventional box model, and so we can just place it on top of existing elements. And what we'll do to do that is put a position of fixed here, and we're going to do a height of 100 viewport height and a background of white. Also a top of 0 and a left of 0. So now we should have this big white thing not quite consuming. We have to put a width of 100%. All right, so now it completely consumes the screen and it's sitting on top of all the other stuff beneath it. All right, so for this, what we're gonna do is, remember this element, which is the overlay element, is the parent container of 3 columns. And inside of here, we have those 3 columns. So we have left, middle, and then right. So we're going to use the grid. So display grid, and we're going to use grid template columns, and then we're going to define our 3 column values. So the first one's going to take up around 75% of the space that's available in terms of the width. Next one will be auto, which means it'll take up any remaining space based on the other columns, and then this one will be 6M units for that final column to the right. All right, so now we have our 3 columns. We can't tell yet because we haven't styled them up specifically. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take the left, right, and middle, right and middle, and we're going to add a height of 100 viewport height, and also a well, we're going to leave it that for now. We're going to add some other stuff later when we get to like the interactive part for JavaScript. So our left, let's take, and we're going to add a bunch of padding, and also let us style up our H2 so we can see it. Right now, because of the other property making everything white that we set, we want to change that. So we're going to take our H2. The color is going to be this one that we've been using. Oh, stop back here, right? There we go. So now we'll be able to see this, and it's really small. So let's make the font size, again, 5 rem with a margin of 0. So now it's going to be nice, big, and bold. Also, our paragraph, and that's inside of left. So let's put left right here, and then we're going to put a padding of 8M on the top and bottom and 10M units on the left and right. And then inside of here, we're going to have our subhead paragraph. I think I added that class, I'm not sure. We're going to make it black. Font size will be 1.5 rem, and margin top will be -0.5 M units to get it closer naturally to this area. So I don't think I added that class when we did this. So let's go find our, right here. Yeah, this is going to be class equals subhead. There we go. All right. And then we have to worry about this part right here, which is just the 2 cards. So remember, we have a cards parent with 2 elements of card inside, and we want to use display flex on that. So now what we'll do is take our middle, if I can find it. Oh, or not a middle rather, but just our cards. And we can say display flex. We're going to push it down about 5 M units from the subhead. So now they should be right here. Again, we can't see anything unless we do this. And then what we'll do is take our card. We're going to take our box. Oh, we'll worry about the box shadow in a second. We'll put padding 2 M units. We're going to take our strong, which is the title, color black, and also paragraph. It's not quite black. It's a different hex value. All right, so if we save it, this is what we have. Now we want this glow type thing here. See this drop shadow? So if we select it and we go to Inspect tab, here is what we need to achieve this. The border radius, the box shadow. Actually, I'm just going to copy the box shadow itself, and we're going to put that in card. And we're also going to put the border radius point like 5 M units, and then like padding around 2 M units. Oh wait, we already did the padding up there. Sorry about that. Save it. And there we go. I think I want it larger. You know what? Let's just put like 1. All right. So there's, oh, that's kind of strange, the way that's like overlapping that. Why is that happening? You see what I mean? Like if you, I know it's kind of hard to see, but this one is overlapping on top of that one. Oh, I think that's because I did not put any. Yeah, let me make sure I'm getting this. Oh, I know why. So for card, we're going to move this over to give some white space. So what we'll do is just select the second one with an nth of type 2, and we'll do margin left 2em units. There we go. So now it's moved over and that issue doesn't occur. All right, so now what we have to do is the call to action. The call to action, there's just so many properties, it's not even funny. I'm just gonna paste that one in. So it's just a padding, border radius, text decorations none, the background, margin, blah, 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 blah. All this stuff is pretty simple. And then we have to reference that secondary, what am I doing? That secondary class of pay once, which is on that second button. And we just reset the background and the color based on the Figma prototype. So if we save it, there we go. And you probably want to add hover to these buttons as well, which I didn't because I was a little bit lazy. But if this is a real project, definitely add hovers. Now we have this section over here, and we need to get that all ready to rock. So padding top, this one was like padding top was like 8. We're gonna do padding top like 10em units for this one. So we're gonna do middle and padding top 10em units. So now if we save this, it'll be more in line with that. Inside of there, we're gonna take the all the links, which is in the secondary navigation. Font size is gonna be 1.5 rem units, make it a little bit bigger. Text decoration will be none. Color will be black. Padding will be 0.4 em units on the top and bottom, 0 on the right and left, and then finally display block to make that padding be able to work. There we go. And then we have this down here. But let's also, you know what, let's add a hover to that as well. So what we'll do is just say secondary a hover, and we'll say color is 8000FF. There we go. All right, so now for this, if we look at the markup, it is social nav, and it has a link here and a link here. So for that, we'll do social nav, and we'll say margin top is 3em units to push it away. Display flex with a gap of 1em unit to separate them out. There we go. We want to also change this as well on hover. What we can do is just add a hover SVG path. All right, so if you notice, if we go into HTML, we have our A, we have our SVG, and then the fill is none here, so you don't want to try to change it on the SVG element itself. You want to change it on the paths themselves. All right, so then we put in the same property here. Actually, what we could do, because they're the same, we could just put this right here. Save it, and now they'll change to that. I thought they would. Let's make sure I am doing this correctly. Oh, I'm not. I can't do that. I'll tell you why. 1 second. This needs to change to fill, which is the SVG property for changing the background. There we go. All right. And then finally, we have to get this over here, which is we're almost done with the CSS, by the way, which is the right class. We're going to do a display grid, and we'll also do justify items center, and somewhere along the line, I did not style this. It's not showing up in my reference code. That's kind of interesting, unless I put it somewhere else. Oh, yeah. It's the background color. Yeah, we just apply it to there. Background color right there. And then we're going to give the actual exit SVG, the class is exit on that one. And we'll just do margin top, 1.2 em units, and cursor pointer so that it changes to a pointer when you hover over it. All right, and that is all the CSS, almost all the CSS. Now we're going to make it actually work when somebody clicks on it. All right, so first thing, we're going to use GSAP for this, which is the GreenSock Animation Platform. I've done many videos on it, crash courses and everything. It's basically just an animation library using JavaScript. It's very performant, massive amount of features. It is awesome, big fan. So if you go to Google, GSAP 3 CDN, and we click here, you want to click the script tag of the top one right there. So we go to index, we paste that in right there, and then we'll just do some JavaScript here in the browser, or the index.html file rather. All right, so now we have to get access to a few different things. So what I mean by that is the actual button, this right here. The class is called active, all right? So we need to be able to check and add an event listener and check whether or not that button has been pressed. So to do that, we're going to say let open equals document.query selector, and we're going to add the class. It's called active. We also need to get the close button, and that will be exit. And then also create an instance of the timeline, the GSAP timeline, which has been imported right here. Let timeline equal gsap.timeline. And then we're going to, initially, we're going to create the animation without it being on click. And I think we will also, well, actually, yeah, we will. We'll add it on click. I'll show you what I mean real quick. So like if we do a, we're going to say open, we're going to add an event listener. I don't know a lot why this hasn't been autofilling that, but oh well. We're going to do click, and inside of here we're going to say timeline.play, and then we're going to copy this, and then we're going to paste it, and we're going to say close timeline reverse. It's going to reverse the animation, and it does it automatically for you. It's very cool. And then right here we're going to say timeline.to. We're going to take our overlay, because that's the parent container of that entire overlay menu slash, layout essentially. And we're going to say opacity 1 and duration 0.3. Oh, and I screwed up. These need to be wrapped into an object with the curly brackets right there. So right now, in and of itself, if we ran this, it's just nothing's gonna happen apparently. It's just gonna look like this, because we're going to this element. You can use the method of from or to. So if you use to, whatever these elements or whatever overlay, let's find overlay. So whatever these properties are, it's gonna go from these properties to the new CSS properties that we specify in JavaScript, if that makes sense. You can reverse that as well. You could, if you use the from method right here, then it's going to go from those properties to whatever these properties are. So there's different use cases for those. So because the opacity by default is already set at 1 because we haven't specified it, it's just going like that. So if we change it to opacity 0, and let me look real quick to make sure there's no other properties I need to concern myself with. I think there's some more we have to add. So if we add opacity 0 right there, you can see it happen quickly, but it happens instantly upon the page refreshing. There we go. That's what's happening so far. So we also kind of want things to move in. All right, so what we're going to do is put in also a transform of translate x, which means move it on the x-axis Y obviously would be vertical. We're going to put 10%. And then we're also going to scale it down by 0.9, which is almost 1. So we're scaling it down by 10%. Not too much, otherwise it might be too jarring. So if we save it now, it's going to look kind of strange. It's not moving and blah, blah, blah. So like if we wanted this to only happen upon click, what we do is we come back here and we put in timeline pause. So we save this, refresh, and it is not working. Let me look at my reference code just to make sure that this is going to work. Yeah, let's see here. Opacity is 0. Transform. Oh, that's because I forgot to change this back from to to. There we go. So now we click this, and now we have it showing up. But obviously, this looks kind of strange right there. I kind of want some other cool things to happen. So what we'll do then is we're also going to move it over back to the transform x 0 position and also scale it up to 1. All right, so what we'll do is we could do it all here, but let's just do that real quick, and that way I can show you a little bit more of an interesting animation to make it a little bit more smooth. Opacity 1, we'll add x 0, and then also another property, scale. Scale will be 1. So let's see what happens now. Click it. And notice sometimes that wasn't working. Like if I come down here, guess what? I cannot click. It's not working. That's because that overlay right now, it's blocking whatever's behind it. Even though we can't see it, it's still there because the opacity is just 0. It's transparent. So what you need to add is pointer. It's a property in CSS called pointer events. Pointer events we set to none. And so if we save that, now we can click right here and it'll still work. Now what we need to do again though is when it comes up, we have to add pointer events. We have to make it work because right now, because we set pointer events to 0, nothing works on here. So we have to set and enable pointer events right here as well. So we'll put, and by the way, whenever you have a CSS property with a hyphen in it, when it comes to JavaScript, we have to put pointer. Don't put the hyphen. You just capitalize the first letter of the word after the hyphen of the CSS property. It's kind of strange, but that's how it is, camel case. So pointer events, and then we're going to put in here, I believe it's just auto. Yeah, we set it in quotes here, auto. So now if we save it, we'll be able to actually use it and click out. Now, if you could just leave it like this entirely, but if you want to make a little bit more of an interesting animation, like to have these 3 columns stagger in sequentially, what we could do is first we're going to add a class to left, middle, and right. We'll add it and we'll call stagger. Just copy that white space too. There and there. Then we're going to add a new one. This is going to be timeline 2. This is going to be stagger. And inside of here, we're going to set them all to x 0, opacity 1, and stagger 0.2. Now what that means is it's going to find every HTML element with the class of stagger, of which there are currently 3, and it's going to apply these properties in this animations with a 0.2 delay between each other, from each other. So they're going to come in sequentially. And we'll play with this value here so you can really see it exaggerated in a second. So we're going to put right here also a offset. So this is going to happen 0.6 seconds sooner than it would have naturally, because the way these work is that this one will complete and then this one waits until the previous call has been completed. But you can offset that and make everything kind of start at the same time. Now, I have this at 0.6 even though our duration is 0.3 because I wanted to change up the opacity and make this opacity come in quicker, independent of these elements right here, just to change up how the animation looks. I'll do that in a second, but for now, let's just save this and see what this looks like. So we'll save it. And it doesn't work. Why? Because I forgot we need to update some of these properties, the middle, left, and right. We're going to change the X position and the opacity as well. So for that, I'm going to go back here and look at my, yep, there we go. We have all these three. We're going to set the transform translate X to 10% and opacity to 0. Now we're going to see a difference. This is going to be very cool now. So notice how they just come in sequentially and just very subtly fade in. If you want to exaggerate that, you could bump this up maybe to 30%. We'll see what that looks like. Looks a little bit too jarring in my opinion, but it's still not bad. So 10% or maybe 15 might be best. And if you really want to see that exaggeration, change this to like 2 seconds. And you'll see 1, 2, and 3. So clearly that's far too long. So you want something small, like 0.3 or so. So we'll check this out one last time. And there we go. Even that's to, I think, 0.2 or 0.15 might be best. And just look how smooth and quick it all comes in. Awesome, awesome stuff. All right, so now that we have our project ready, you want to make sure you go to hostinger.com/DesignCourse to get your custom coupon code. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to register a domain name. Yes, I'm going to show you how to get this started up from scratch. All right, so we're going to come here. I'm just going to type in overlaynav.com just because this is a quick little project-based example. Of course, this would be your real business name or anything. So domain is available. It'll let you know. So we're going to add that to the cart. And then we're also going to select our hosting plan. So single shared hosting, that's all we need. We're going to select that. And as you can see right now, it's telling us that we have $75. So if we break this down, this is $9 for the website hosting. Of course, that's for 1 year. And then we have the shared hosting option as well. Now, for me personally, I don't need this for 4 years. I'm just going to put here 1 month because I know that's all I'm going to need. So your total comes to $23.65, absolutely dirt cheap. Also, especially considering what you will get. So now what we'll do is we're going to, and by the way, you want to make sure that your coupon code is also applied. So we're going to type in DesignCourse. We're going to add that there. Now it's been applied, and we're going to hit checkout now. And I'm personally just going to pay with PayPal. You can use any of those other options. At this point, I'm just going to fast forward the video. All right, and it's been ordered. That literally only took about 60 seconds. All right, so we're going to click start now and create an amazing website in minutes. Let's see here. Let's choose other options because we already created our own website. So we're going to choose other for this option right here. And actually with the platform, we don't even necessarily, we're going to choose skip because we do not need that. So let's choose overlaynav.com and we're going to select that. All right, and then we're going to click finish registration. Now overlaynav.com is being registered. As you can see, very quick. We can edit these details as well. We're going to choose North America and select that and then finish setup. Great, so now it's going to go through a few of these steps in order to get the server account, the hosting account rather, set up, and it really only takes just a few more seconds for it to get going. And there it is. All right, so now we can go to manage site. And I wonder if it's available. I literally just registered it, I would say about like, I don't know, a couple minutes ago. So overlaynav.com. All right, there it is. It's already rocking. All right, so now how do we get this actually set up? So there's a lot of different ways to deploy a website. One of the quickest and easiest ways would be right here. I believe it's called import website. There we go. So all we have to do is just zip up the website and get started from there. Now, if you wanted a more robust development environment, you wouldn't want to do this option. You probably want to use GitHub and make it automatically pull. Of course, there's a lot of different tutorials out there for that, but just for getting this up and running very quickly, we're just going to zip our website up in a zip file. So we're going to go back here to our code, which is right here. And I'm just going to right click and open with, not open with live server. Sorry about that. We're just going to right click and we're going to reveal in File Explorer. And we're going to duplicate that. And inside of here, we're going to just take all this, the index, the CSS, and the assets folder. And we're going to right click and I'm just going to choose to add to archive, make it a zip. And we're just call it overlay.zip, hit OK. And then we'll come back to our browser and we're going to choose a file. And let me find and navigate to where I need to go off screen. Users, my username, code, overlay. Here it is. We're going to choose that. We're going to choose import. It's only going to take just a couple seconds. It's uploading it and then it will automatically extract it on their end and place it into the appropriate folder for our web hosting account. And then in a second, we'll be able to visit this site and hit refresh and our project will be there. All right, go to website and there it is. It is ready to rock. So now we can click this. Everything works as expected. And you can go there now, overlaynav.com. Now notice how it says it's not secure. We can fix that real easily as well. Their interface makes it very easy to use. So if we just search for SSL, we click on this, install SSL for our site. This is the great thing about the dashboard. You don't have to do any of the crazy manual stuff that typically you might have to do with other hosting providers. And again, just a couple more seconds, we'll be able to refresh this and it won't say not secure anymore. It will be secured. There it is. So now we can go here, refresh, and it is secure. Connection is secure. That's how easy they make it. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you learned a lot. There was a lot of front-end development techniques there as it pertains to HTML, CSS, and even a little bit of JavaScript. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe. Definitely check out the sponsor of this video, hostinggurt.com, and I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.